Hey, it's me. So I took a little break in the interest of some school projects. Two far surpassed my expectations, but the third was a massive flop, despite its quality. Anyhow, I'm back at it now. I liken Fiora to a sort of flimsy toothpick that easily cracks under pressure, despite her aerodynamic prowess. For this reason, and because he can't kite this 0cc raw damage dealer, I take Ignite against her. I push the lane hard immediately with the intention to build up a large wave and get her to recall. This is a fairly safe move because I trust our Shackle to keep Shen occupied. Now I take Terra Capacitor first in this matchup in order to mitigate her harass if she dashes into me and then proceed to outdamage her. This Fiora, however, plays it kinda smart for the first few levels, keeping her distance and respecting my gradual damage. Pushing the lane to the tower made her have a really hard time picking up minions. This is particularly due to the damage I could output if she got up too close, given the second point I've put into Q. Finally, when she reaches level 3, she decides to begin harassing. Bad idea. After taking a fair amount of damage, whilst trying to finish off a minion, I pop Terra Capacitor and go on the counterattack, interlacing 3 auto attacks with 2 Acid Hunters and drastically winning the trade. With a superior health pool, I hit level 4 and level E. I bathe her in corrosive goo and activate Terra Capacitor right before that first Acid Hunter hits her. This applies the slow whilst keeping the shield up for the longest duration in preparation for a counterattack. And why should she not try it? I walked toward her to get extra auto attacks off, and in doing so ended up in the minion wave. That's a lot of damage going on to me. She is forced to flash away and leave the lane, and as a precautionary measure, I don't flash Acid Hunter and auto attack to finish her off, which was actually a great opportunity. You know, that's why you watch replays, to identify opportunities so that you can capitalize on them the next time. So I recall and pick up a Tyria and a Doran's Blade. One to keep the pain train rolling, and the other to bring in that extra damage and sustain. Along with the health it brings, you know? With the Tyria, it's almost like target practice. And the chunk, when you follow it up, is just so satisfying. No, siege minion for you! Duelist. With my endless bombardment, thanks to the Tear of the Goddess, I end up bleeding her dry and forcing her out of lane again. Now that may have looked like a potential kill with Flash, Acid Hunter, and an auto attack just like last time, but however this time her parry was up and would have saved her life. You see this range? This is your zone. I call it the point of no return. This guy gets in your zone, and he's sure as dead. Control your zone. Alright, let's look at that again. Yeah, I probably wasted Flash, but focus on my mana bar. Direct your attention. Shen walks into this lane thinking that I can't do much with 200 mana, and he's right. If you think about it, that's really just 400 Acid Hunters. 4. But I like to be prepared. Immediately as he's coming into lane, I chug a mana pot, and it gives me the exact amount of mana I need to execute. Without that, Shen would have just taken a little harass and probably stayed fairly safe. Thanks, Shen. This lane is pretty much irreparable for poor Fiora. Unless, you know, I do something incredibly stupid, like stand in lane with 1500 gold and getting ulted by Fiora and then fighting. Once she returns with a chain vest, that is. I mean, who would do a stupid thing like that, right? But that's later. I pick up 2 long swords to build into a brutalizer later for the CDR and armor penetration. At this point, I've got the lane frozen at my tower and Fiora just can't come near it, so she picks up some golems and then tries to roam mid and eventually comes back up and picks up more golems. And then finally comes back to lane. I then, through way of rocket-propelled persuasion, deliver her eviction notice. She finally gets the idea after a whole lot of zoning from her previous dwelling. I force her out of the XP range of the minions in an attempt to incite her greed or force a recall. She stays in lane a little bit longer, just long enough to pick up enough gold for a preordained chain vest. She has better combat stats right now from her items. 3 Doran's items compared with 1 and 2 long swords, and a chain vest in place of a tear. I haven't gone back for a stupidly long time, so my only advantage is our 2-level discrepancy. Notice that once she hits level 8, she decides to go on in and fight. She wins the trade, both of us having used our ultimates. Then it gets a little awkward. Neither of us know whether we want to continue fighting initially. I'm thinking that if I flash into this bush after she's used both dashes, I'll get a small opening in which I can inflict damage without a reply. What I do not account for is that she also has flash. She goes aggressive, and I make my way into the closest bush. I then proceed to misclick far to the right as she dashes, then flashes my Q. After parrying an auto attack and using Ignite, my plans fall apart as I die a disgruntled death. So horribly regretting my mistake, I finish my brutalizer and pick up a pickaxe to later build into a last whisper, which I tend to pick up as soon as possible. Now here I'm really far pushed up in a very gankable situation. With Fiora occupied slaying minions, I decide that now is as good a time as any to confront the knave cowardly waiting in the bushes. Fight on your own terms and you'll have a grand time. My job here in top lane is done. Now with my lead, it's best that I roam around and influence other lanes. So, after I force Fiora back again, I push up and pick up a last whisper, just to make sure I shred through most everything. Their bot lane turret still exists, so I run them down and help with the dragon, then attempt to pick off Vayne and Lulu in between their turrets. With an opportune ult to make it a done deal, we finish off Lulu, and Vayne is completely forced out. Next thing I know, I'm wedged into a wall by 3 healthy opponents. Now if I just sat there and brought it out, they might have all died, but think about it. Fiora has her ult, Kha'Zix his isolation bonus, and Shen his taunt. Taking that chance would be an unnecessary cost of my life. For that reason, and so that I don't also bait Shackle into his death, I flash away. The Noxian Corrosive Charge and QQ combo I landed on Kha'Zix afterwards ripened him up for a kill into the tower, so the best move there was to keep pushing.
The team's turret has been destroyed.
At this point, they all burn. Here, notice that Kha'Zix has both flash and his jump. He's waiting until the moment he absolutely has to use them. In that way, he's quite predictable. I wait until the moment before and ult him, completely spoiling his plans and taking him out.
Purple team's inhibitor has been destroyed.
Now I finally recall and pick up some boots. I almost always buy Boots of Lucidity because they allow me to fire 4 Acid Hunters in the duration of 1 lock-on from Noxian Corrosive Charge, and that damage can be devastating. I rejoin Fiora in top lane while my team sieges mid turret, so we can maximize pressure exerted on the enemy team. Strangely enough, Fiora goes ham, and I follow suit. Because of her mobility, I miss a lot of abilities. It's quite unfortunate to hit a minion in a fight, but 2 auto attacks are better than 1. If I were on about equal grounds, I would have picked up a Warden's Mail rather early against this team, which would allow me to win fights less haphazardly. But alas, I pick up my Manamune because why the hell not? It should upgrade within a couple minutes, providing me with a giant power spike. Now all that's left is to rush down mid lane and revert to the top tower. I walk straight into a firefight and get creep blocked in my shoddy attempt at picking off a certain little purple Yordle. Seething in anger? Well, not quite. I decide to confront Fiora in her safe haven at the top lane tower. A quick pop of the hyperkinetic position reverser is enough to avenge misfortune. And then Kha'Zix comes around. Goodbye. And you as well, Shen. Farewell. And then how about that pesky little Yordle? Always evading my charms and dagnabbit. And now for the finisher. I disregard tank items entirely and pick up my Black Cleaver, the last offensive item I generally get. Ready to try my hand at cleaving that Yordle this time. Now you've got to find a pick and take it. This one was exceedingly simple. I found Shen out of position and ulted him, reeling in the rest of his team as they tried to make anything out of it. And with a good clean couple chunks, I picked up a quick kill on Lulu. I felt kinda bad for this one. And there you have it. So for a quick recap, make your own opportunities, and make sure to take advantage of those Urgot empowers you to make. Ah, right. And don't be greedy.